and he just represents our game. He just personifies everything that's right about hockey.
Captain Clutch, Sidney Crosby.
Great dude, a great teammate.
Stan goes to a one-timer, scores!
You know what kind of leader he is on and off the ice.
Most people do not get to see is the work ethic.
He is a machine.
You know what to get on the ice every night.
Alexander Ovechkin has done it.
Quite remarkable. We're definitely lucky to have him. He just makes our team better.
It's one of the most important roles in our game, the captaincy. And there are several teams, as you see right here, I think 10 if I'm counting right, that currently don't have somebody that wears the C. So, you know, when a third of the league is vacant in that position, it makes us wonder who could or should wear the C on some of those teams. Before we get into some of that, Gabby, you've been a part of teams in the process of selecting a captain. What goes into it, and what stands out most to you about a player when you're thinking about him as captain?
Well, I mean, somebody that is respected in the room, a guy that probably you know you're going to rely on and is going to play, and you want him to lead this team in his own way, is something. I don't think you a lot of times you can't get a guy that doesn't play, because if he becomes brooding and thinking of himself, then that's the kind of guy you don't want to be on the team. So when we had Chris Clark, who was a great captain for the Caps, but then we traded him to Columbus, that left a vacancy. And it was at a time when Sidney Crosby was just named a captain, and the young stars were really evolving. And I mean, I remember talking to George and say, George, why not just, instead of waiting, let's just name Alex now. He is the future of our team. He is the one everybody looks at. And when you need something done, he's going to be the guy that gets it done. And George agreed, and so we went ahead and named Alex the captain. And I mean, I think he's one of the longest tenured captains in the NHL right now.
Yeah, I know. And yeah, great decision, right? It wasn't too soon. He's ended up being one of the best, if not the best captain maybe ever to play the game, and still going strong in Washington. So now that we know all of that, let's take a look at some of the guys that might fill the void in other places, with Patrice Bergeron now out in Boston, choosing to retire. That's one of the biggest ones that stands out to me. Who do you think, Kells, would be a good, likely replacement for him to wear the C?
I think Charlie McAvoy. And, we talked about Brad Marchand would be in a conversation, obviously. He's in his mid-30s. How much longer will he play? And he's a leader on the team, whether he's a captain or not a captain. But Charlie McAvoy, the same thing, and he's younger. And, the tutelage of guys like Chara and Bergeron, who was, same position, but Bergeron as well. I don't think it'd be a bad choice. So that's who I'd pick.
Yeah, I don't think you could go wrong with either one, but because McAvoy is younger, and I think will be around longer than Brad, even though I wouldn't have thought about Brad being the captain 7 or 8 years ago, but he has grown into that role. Sure. He is a true leader of the Bruins, but I think McAvoy would be a great choice for the Bruins.
Okay, how about in Vancouver? We talked earlier about Elias Pettersson and how we're still not sure if and when he'll be there for the future, but he'd probably be the logical choice, right?
I think so, especially since the Sedins were captains there, and he's got very much the same personality as them. He's not overly boisterous. He's not going to be that one getting up and doing a rah-rah speech in the room too often. He might, but I mean, his play on the ice, his practice habits, his desire to be the best, I think are right there of what any captain should be. And I think he would be a great choice if he signs a good long-term contract with the Canucks.
Give him $11 million a year. Give him the C. You'd have to think you're doing the negotiation if you dangle that C in there as well. That really helps move it along.
I'm telling you right now, Petey's sitting there going, well, I'm better than Austin Matthews, so whatever he gets, I want.
Yeah, well, he might not be wrong. He is definitely one of the elite players in the game. We'll see how that all works out if and when that happens. St. Louis, another interesting situation there, and that's a team that they've kind of had longer-term contracts, or captains, I should say. So who might be their next guy to wear the C?
I'm looking at Braden Shen. He's a guy that's been there for a while, respected veteran player. Who's still, and to your point, Bruce, you got to be a guy that's relied on, a guy that plays, a guy that produces, right? And he is still those things. So I look at the roster, I'm like, all right, if you need to name a captain today, the outside looking in, I think Braden Shen would be a good choice.
Well, I mean, I don't know Braden very well, met him a couple times, but I do know Luke. And if he's anything like Luke, he would make a great captain. And I mean, he's a guy that will fight for you. He will, he takes all, now that O'Reilly's gone, all important face-offs.
Yeah.
He's a leader. He'll do whatever it takes. I think he'd be a really good choice for captaincy. So, I mean, I don't know what St. Louis is doing, but you can't go wrong with any of the Shens.
Yeah. Oh, that's a ringing endorsement for sure. Elsewhere in the Central, still a question mark about Chicago, right? I think everyone's ready to crown Connor Bedard the guy. You know, they're ready to put him in the Chicago Hall of Fame. He hasn't even played a shift in the NHL yet. Do you think they should automatically just name him the captain, or do you think it's worth waiting, Gabby?
Man, you got to wait. You can't just give a player. There's a lot of veterans from Corey Perry to Taylor Hall on that team, and you give it to an 18-year-old. I think you got to let him learn the steps of the NHL before he gets it. I'm pretty sure eventually he will be the captain. They gave Jonathan Toews the captaincy in his second year or third year, one of the two. And I think they're going to do the same thing to Connor. But you can't put that pressure already on him as an 18-year-old.
Yeah, and that's why you don't name one this year. You give it a year, maybe two, put the C on him.
Yeah, well,
He'll be the guy.
Right, we can't wait to see what he does do in his first NHL game. And what are we, 6 weeks, 7 weeks? We're getting down there, getting close. Thanks for joining us here on NHL Tonight. We'll see you next time.